I did a thing where I have to try and get out of a car, and then I get caught in a seatbelt, and then I get caught again in the seatbelt, and then I go and slam my leg in the car door. But I was like cheating it and sort of putting my finger in the way to block it. And I was going around to look at the rushes to be like, does it look real? Does it look real? And then I had this sort of eureka moment, which I think says a lot about the process of acting sometimes, where I went, the problem is I'm not doing it for real. I should just do it for real. And you go, well, the reason you're not doing it for real is because it's really dangerous. So I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, fine. I just worked out what the problem is. I've been having my fingers in the way of the door. I should just do it. And I slammed my leg in the car door, like as hard as I could. And luckily, like there's not really much dialogue after that moment. But when they cut, I was like, I've like broken my leg. There was just like a huge bruise from my thigh all the way down to my ankle.
Should we go to some questions? Because there's a lot of people called Jessica asking questions. It seems to be all people called Jessica. But do you mind if I go to some questions? I don't know what they're going to be like. They could be great. They could be awful. So this first one is from one of the Jessicas. It says, is there a scene that you are particularly proud of performance-wise? And if so, why? Let's start with Guz. Is there a favourite scene that you've got that you just love?
Pretty smash, Guz.
You know what? The one scene, the only reason I'm proud of myself is because I got through it without busting up for the 57th time. There's an actor in our show called Mark Silcox. He's a legend. He might actually be a real life serial killer. He might get his own Netflix show one day. Yeah? He turns up to set and I'm like, yo, Mark, how's it going? I'm fine. Have you learned your words? No, I haven't. I'm like, okay, cool. That's no problem, brother. Let's go. He did an iconic scene where he pours Ribena onto somebody's carpet, right? He pours it onto the carpet, and then he has a fight with them. And at the point that you meant to have, like, for professional reasons, like a stunt coordinator, whatever. And we didn't have one, so the director was like, guys, you got to make sure you really take it easy. And we had to physically separate Silcox from the other performer. Because even after they said cut, Silcox wanted to bang this guy in the face. He takes his job very seriously. I found this shit amazing, blood. Like, there was all kinds of swearing in different languages I'd never heard in my life. The last word I heard as he went out the door was, he's a cunt. And I was like, oh, relax. Incredible. Yeah, I'm just glad I made it through that scene. It was hilarious.
Jamie, what's your favourite scene from probably from the second series or from any of the series?
Well, I don't know about favourite, but the one that stands out in my head as sort of like in the same vein that Guz is talking of, I'm glad I got through it, was like I did a thing where I have to try and get out of a car, and then I get caught in a seatbelt, and then I get caught again in the seatbelt, and then I go and slam my leg in the car door. But I was like cheating it and sort of putting my finger in the way to block it. And I was going around to look at the rushes to be like, does it look real? Does it look real? And then I had this sort of eureka moment, which I think says a lot about the process of acting sometimes, where I went, the problem is I'm not doing it for real. I should just do it for real. And you go, well, the reason you're not doing it for real is because it's really dangerous. So I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, fine. I just worked out what the problem is. I've been having my fingers in the way of the door. I should just do it. And I slammed my leg in the car door, like as hard as I could. And luckily, like there's not really much dialogue after that moment. But when they cut, I was like, I've like broken my leg. There was just like a huge bruise from my thigh all the way down to my ankle.
Was Charlotte Ritchie genuinely laughing at you at that point?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think she was just in shock at what I just done. And I remember going over to the monitor and being like, imagine if that isn't the one we use. But luckily it was. So I'd say that one. But you know,
Demi, obviously the answer up there with some of the funniest, but what's your favourite character that you've done on the show that, or your favourite sketch that you've done that's just made you like love your job?
I love playing Fat Sam. I love just playing the kid who just is likes to eat everyone's food and I just have so much fun with it, and it's just this sort of stoicness that you kind of have to play with him, and I just love the understatedness of it, even though it is really over the top in terms of how I look. I love that. And I also, there was a thing in series 1 where we, William and Funke, there was this thing where I did with Samson, we do a sort of a Nigerian sort of Richard and Judy-esque kind of couple. And I love that moment because I've never laughed to the point of terror before. I don't know if anyone's ever had that, where you're laughing and you're suddenly, your body doesn't know, your body starts to go, oh crap, I think there's a problem. I think this person is in a sort of fearful place. And then they start giving you tears because your body thinks you're going through something really traumatic, but you're just laughing. And I've never laughed that much. And watching it, they're just editing around Samson and me corpsing the entire time. You watch it, I'm laughing. Why is this lady?
I bet the editor both loved and hated you equal amounts that day.
So I just, I think the ones that make you laugh and just, those are the memorable ones. Just,
Ncuti, what will you take away as your favourite sort of scene from Sex Ed?
My favorite scene. Do you know what? My favorite scenes from Sex Ed are probably the ones that I'm not in. Like, I love the one, like the It's My Vagina scene, the bus scene at the end of season 2 as well was another favorite scene of mine. One that I've done, I think any scene where I'm in heels, because I'd never worn heels before, and that was like a very new experience. There always seemed to be like a lot of hills whenever I had a scene with heels. And so it was like, like stairs and hills, or like shooting at midnight and I'm in a pair of pum-pum shorts and like batty riders and it's freezing cold. Like, any scene I completed when Eric is in one of his more daring outfits, I was always happy that I
You deserve a BAFTA just as services to heels, I think. That's Youssef, which scene do you feel like
I had the most
funniest? Yeah, you had the most.
The one I had the most fun at was the Marmite scene. I have a WhatsApp video of when I first read that scene about a year before we shot, and I'm crying in the video to Rufus because I love that moment so much. And then on the day it didn't disappoint, and into sort of a little scene in the first episode of the first series. And it was preceded by a scene where Rebecca Staten and Rufus Jones are at the door talking about me while I've been given a sandwich to eat, and it's a sort of, this is a refugee, he's just made it to England, the first bite to eat. So there's only one way of eating it, which is to sort of ravenously stuff it into my mouth. And I ate 21 sandwiches that day.
Oh my God.
This is before I had to start eating copious amounts of Marmite. And
do you actually like Marmite?
I do. I'm partial to Marmite on toast in small amounts, but taking.
So you're the only person in the world who's indifferent to Marmite. Completely undermine the advertising campaign.
I might love it. I might hate it.
There's your dating profile right
exactly,
there.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sian, what scene do you remember the most about just enjoying and finding the funniest?
I mean, similarly to what some of the guys are saying, like it's more the scenes that I'm not in are my favorite because I mean, like in terms of challenging the miscarriage scene, that frame that's on me, we filmed that for 7 hours because we couldn't find the right angle, and so that was like really hard. So just getting through that day was like really hard. I honestly give any of my scenes that have come out well, like I give it all to the editor because whatever, like he's a genius. I think my favorite scene it isn't one of my scenes. It's the scene with Andrew Scott and Phoebe, and it's the end of episode 3, and they're in the church garden, and it's where Andrew's talking about a fox, his relationship with foxes.
Yeah.
That's my favorite scene, and that's where the fourth wall's broken. And I like, just like you, Youssef, when I read that, this is, well before we started filming, and Phoebe was like, can I send you the scripts? I'm really scared for you to read them. And she only sent me the first 3, and I've got a photo on my phone, and I was just like bawling. And I sent her this photo because I was like, it was, so that for me is like the most like special. And shout out to Jamie Demetriou in a sex shop in series 1.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said in series 1 because that could have come out as a real revelation.